Professor Huang, what do you think, what kind of message is the North trying to send to the South Korea?
The message the North is trying to send is, first, I'm mad. Two, I'm gradually impatient. But, that is why some people say that Kim of the North even went to the bombing site to observe the bombing. I don't know whether or not that's true, but I think I saw the picture, but I didn't have time to confirm it. So this message sent to South Korea probably was a little bit effective because we have seen that the South Korean central government has announced that some cities and counties near the DMZ line on the Korean Peninsula should abandon using balloons to send those flyers against the North Korean regime. And that message was announced after the bombing right near the DMZ line. So I think at least the south side, the southern side, shows some concession towards the north, while the south side, again, took some more assertive measures by cooperating with the U.S. in terms of sending advanced air fighters to fly over the DMZ to show to the South that actually I'm ready and I got Big Brother behind me. Mm-hmm. So I think the South is using two-tier strategies or two-tier approaches. One is soft, another is hard to respond back to the North.
You talk about the situation where North Korea claimed that South Korea is sending their drones and spreading the anti-North Korean leaflets, which may cause fury in the North Korea. Do you think that, Stephen, the situation in the Korean Peninsula the tensions might even further escalate?
I suspect that Kim has made or is making his mark right before the U.S. general election, and also making some formal and official announcements in terms of the amendment of the Constitution and the U.S. And the unification stance, as you just pointed out, Betty. So I would suspect that the North Korea will wait until the U.S. election to see who's going to be running the country starting from next year, because it will play a critical role, not just in the geopolitical tensions in this part of the world, but the rest, Middle East, Eurasian, and Russian included. So I think the whole world is on the wait and see mode to see, what would the outcome be? Because if you think about this, it's only less than 2 weeks. Hopefully, knock on wood, that there will be no commotions, right. No political violence. There will be a clear-cut election outcome, and then it will be. I wouldn't say it will be another new ball game, but it could drastically change some directions. For example, former President Trump has made it very clear that he pretty much rely on the personal relationship and the bilateral relationship between, in this particular case, himself and the President Kim. And instead of working with allies in this region, AUKUS, particularly South Korea, Japan. So it creates some different thoughts, I would imagine, from the perspective of North Korea to try to make some further grounds. So making strong personal and political marks prior to the election of the United States, and try to see if there's some change in directions and make further grounds afterwards, depending on who the new president is. It is how I see what it is right now in terms of the overall assessment of the current situation.
Professor Huang?
Yeah, I think one more factor that we should pay more attention to is who will be the next South Korean president. Because, one of the big reasons why the North Korean government is trying so hard to threaten the South side is because the North would like to see a South Korean leader who is more sympathetic or more willing to deal with the North. So we can see after the mid-1990s, all these concessions and cooperations between Washington and Pyongyang. And now, 2000, Kim Dae-jung, who favored the sunshine policy from the South, began to approach the North. It ended up with the North-South Joint Statement or North-South Joint Declaration, which began the building of a lot of constructions or mutual projects, including the 2 lines of transportation bombed by the North recently. And after some threatening in the mid-2010s, then the South Koreans elected President Moon. And President Moon would like to amend or to improve ties with the North. So he tried very hard, but he failed, not because of the attitude of the Kim, but because of the COVID. So I think the wish of Kim in Pyongyang is to help the South elect a president who is not declined to support America, but who is willing to lean a little bit more toward the South, toward the North.
So you talk about the leadership in the South also plays a very important role. So let's talk about the current president, Yoon Suk-yeol. It seems that, according to the recent poll, he has very low approval rating and his dissatisfaction rate is up to 70%. And it seems that North Korea is not happy about him. Do you think that the recent explosion or retaliatory actions from the North to the South is targeting at the current government or the current leader?
99.9%. Because, see, the Kim Jong-un in Pyongyang has asserted that in January 2024, that unification, the term, should be removed from the DPRK constitution, which hasn't been implemented. We don't know why, but the recent amendment to the DPRK constitution contains nothing about the removal of unification. But Kim also insists that the South Korean is a hostile foreign enemy, as we just discussed. And he also contended that he wouldn't hesitate to attack its rival if North Korea's sovereignty is infringed. So I think, not only towards the Biden administration, but also towards the South Korean government, we know why the Kim regime in Pyongyang has been so assertive or aggressive. But as I said, if there is a leadership change in a few years, then probably we're going to see a very new scenario between the North and the South.
So, Professor Huang, you talked about the historic context from the back in the older days. And also, we understand that back in 1953, the North and South Korea signed the armistice agreement, but they never had a peace treaty until the year 2018. We do see that Kim Jong-un and Moon Jae-in, the then president, concluded the Panmunjom Declaration. And back then, well, it seems things to be, I won't say like very peaceful, but there weren't any big gestures like this until now. So why at this moment? Why do you think that the North Korea is taking this kind of drastic actions, in addition to the factors that we talk about, U.S. presidential election?
Well, I guess it's a different world now. With a change in power in the neighboring big countries, from North Korea's perspective, of course. You see what's going on in Russia, in China. Then I think I wouldn't just compare with sort of the pacts that entered into between North Korea and South Korea back then. I just want to comment a little bit on the South Korea's stance, on Yoon's stance. I think President Yoon seems to be struggling very hard to improve his approval rating. There will be the next presidential election in the years to come, but I understand that I won't comment too much about the domestic politics of South Korea, but my understanding is that it's more relating to the domestic issues. Now, in terms of the foreign policy, there have been some challenges. But then, the South Korea's relationship generally with Japan seems to be improving, two directions. And then, of course, South Korea's relationship with the Biden administration, it's on the track. There are some tough issues that have been ironed out or in the process of being ironed out, including the cost allocations and cost sharing, and also previously some issues relating to the nuclear missiles and nuclear powers. But then, all in all, I will take it as it's more domestic issues driven to drive down his popularity. Whether or not there is a change in the administration in the years to come, or President Yoon would have a chance to improve his popularities. Of course, to a certain degree, it also depends on the foreign policy and international issues, and that also relates to how he handles the escalated tensions with North Korea, and also the next president of the United States.